Coach Brad here from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Now, I've been a physio for 25 years, and the number one problem I see in my clinic, lower back pain. Back pain is one of the most common injuries in our society and one of the most common causes of pain and dysfunction. Now, that lack of stability causes micro movements within the spine, which can cause more pain. And then that pain causes more muscle inhibition. And that muscle inhibition can then in turn cause more discomfort, loss of confidence, and so on and so on. And that circle of negative feedback can keep going unless it's broken by trying to re-engage those muscles to create that stability around the spine. The back guru, Dr. McGill, has helped develop the best 3 exercises available to help stimulate the surrounding core musculature. Now, this is really important to re-engage those muscles when pain inhibits them from working correctly. Now, what I love about these next 3 exercises is they help get the muscles firing without loading the structures within the spine, causing excessive pain, which then causes inhibition. So they really get those muscles firing in a really nice, stable, safe way. These 3 exercises act as a circuit breaker to stop that pain, inhibition, loss of confidence circle from expanding and crescendoing into a real issue. Now, these exercises shouldn't be started immediately after an acute back injury. You might want to wait for a few days for the initial symptoms to settle down first. And of course, if you have any concerns about your back, or you've got pain radiating down your legs with weakness, then check in with a local trusted health professional to get some more individualized advice for your back pain. And stay tuned till the end of the 3 exercises for my number 1 tip on how to prevent low back pain in the first place. Okay, the first exercise is pretty simple. It's called a curl up, but you must make sure the setup is on the money, totally correct. So you want to lie down on your back. Make sure that the spine is in neutral. So hands placing under the lower back, and they are like pressure receptors, making sure that your spine isn't totally flat and not totally raised. Okay, so you don't want it totally extended or totally flexed. You want it in neutral in the middle. So the hands are there to make sure it stays neutral. Then one leg down, or keeping one leg up. That puts a bit of torque in the pelvis and makes it a lot easier to maintain that stability. Then it's not a curl right up, it's actually just a very small raise from the neck and the sternum and then back down again, while keeping that neutrality around the lumbar spine. So hands as pressure receptors, and then just a nice little raise up and then down. So maybe up with a count of 1 and then down with a count of 2. So really making use of that eccentric phase as that muscles are lengthening under load. So you might want to try and do that maybe 8 to 12 times. And then have a little bit of a break and repeat with the other leg up. So that's exercise number 1, the curl up. Now, if you're getting a little bit of neck pain with the curl up, then make sure you try and tuck that chin in. Because when you tuck the chin in, you engage the anterior muscles around the cervical spine, which helps stabilize a little bit more, and that can help reduce the pain. So what I mean is like this, and then when you're coming up, if that's a little bit sore, just tuck the chin in and down again. So that little tuck in can help relieve neck discomfort and improve neck stability while you're doing that curl up. The second exercise I call a modified side plank. Now, this is one of my favorite exercises that I like to give to runners to ensure that their glute medius are firing, which maintains stability of the pelvis on that impact phase of the stance, so that you're not leaking energy with that pelvic instability. So the way to set it up, make sure you're lying on your side, make sure that the elbow is directly underneath your shoulder. Your knees are just in front of your hips, and then you want to bring the pelvis up and out so that you're straight and stacked. So the shoulder, hip, and knee are all in alignment. And that is a modified side plank. So it's really firing that glute med on the downward side. And then you just try and again breathe, hold, and then you can just come back down the same way that you came up. So just bending in the middle. So up and out, making sure that everything's aligned. Glute med, everything else is firing around that core while the lumbar spine is in neutral, and then back down. So you might want to try that maybe 6 to 10 times, holding for between 10 and 15 seconds on each side. So that's exercise number 2, modified side plank. Now, if you'd like a progression on the modified side plank, if you find it's a little bit too easy and want to progress things, then what you can do is lift that top leg. So lifting that top leg just loads things a little bit more, increases activation. And it also really helps engage the obliques a little bit more and the lat dorsi. So that's the modified side plank progression. Now, the third exercise has many names, but I tend to call it a 4-point point and push. So to set it up, make sure that your hands are directly underneath your shoulders, your knees are directly underneath your hips, and then make sure the spine is in neutral. So this is all the way down, so that's when the lumbar spine is extended, and then that is when the lumbar spine is flexed and the pelvis is backward and the back is arched. So make sure you come into that neutral position. When you're in that nice neutral position, make sure your neck is long and your shoulders are away from your ears and your chin is tucked in. Now, in that position, what I'd like you to do is to raise your left arm and your right leg. So it's opposite arm, opposite leg. Come forward, so point with the arm, push with the leg, come up into straight, and then back down again and place it. So then, other side, right arm and left leg. So you push, point with that right arm, push back with the leg, make sure the pelvis stays stable. Pretend like someone is eating a meal off your back and you don't want to spill anything. So it's quality. And then bring it back down again. So with that, you might want to try 4 to 8 each side, maybe holding for between 3 and 5 seconds. And if you're unable to do that, you can just start with just an arm. So just taking one arm forward, or even just a leg, and maintaining that stability through the core, through that lumbar spine and pelvis region. So it's always quality over quantity. If you are going out too far and losing control, bring it back a little bit so that you're staying within capacity. So that's exercise number 3, the 4-point point and push. If you're enjoying this content, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us coaches out. So there you have it. The top 3 lumbar spine exercises to help re-engage the core after an acute back injury. And they can also be used to prime the core in any stage of your training program. Now, as promised, my number 1 top tip for preventing back pain is to bulletproof your lumbar spine with lifestyle change. One of the main reasons why our society has such a massive percentage of back pain problems is because we sit. Now, if you sit for more than 3 hours a day, then what you're doing is basically destroying your glutes. You're creating gluteal amnesia. The glutes are the biggest muscle group in the body and the main component in the core stability engine. If you sit for more than 3 hours a day, then you're really stopping any forward momentum that your core stability, stretching or running program is giving you. You've got to look at your setup. You've got to look at changing your lifestyle. So look at getting a stand-up desk, taking that meeting as a walking meeting rather than sitting down. Changing your lifestyle helps drive better habits to develop long-term back care. If you want a little bit more information about sitting and back care, check out Alex's video coming up next. Otherwise, please be kind, champion compassion, go out and earn those miles, and I'll see you on the next video.